G'day YouTube, how the heck are we doing? It's Foul Play here and we're back again for some more Bogle action. We will revisit the Bogles of the Guildpact shortly, but given my absence from the metagame, I just wanted to play something I know, so mistakes are limited. Alright, so a couple of things have happened since we've last played, including Violent Outburst being banned, Leyline of the Guildpact and Scion running around like absolutely rampant. But it turns out Pick Your Poison is a pretty heavily played card. As a result of this, we are removing all copies of Griffspoon from the main deck. So you'll notice I've got pretty heavy on 1-drops here. Mostly it's like 4 ofs of the Umbras, 3 of the Spider, and then 2 of for the Sentinel's Eyes and Audacity. I do like both these cards still. Less Ragavan makes Sentinel's Eyes a bit less needed as well though. You'll notice our primary evasion effect now is Spirit Mantle, again because flying is going to be a little bit of a weakness with Pick Your Poison around. And we do have that 1 of Canopy cover, still testing, still unsure about. Definitely better than Alpha Authority though. It has pseudo flying but does not have flying. That's not too bad. So sideboard wise, I actually wanted 1 more card than what I had, so I made room in the main deck, minusing, it was either a Sentinel's Eyes or an Audacity, but just going down to 2 copies of each to include 1 of Relic in the main. The other 2 are in the sideboard, and rounding off the sideboard, we have our Leyline of Sanctity to protect us from these black decks that are running around. There's a new Goryo's build that's happening as well. We are loaded up on Force of Vigor because Amulet just seems impossible, and I want as many copies of Force of Vigor as possible if we're going to stand a chance of beating that deck. We've got Stony Silence, which is going to be really quite useful against Agatha's Soul Cauldrons decks like Yawgmoth. Also useful against decks running Engineered Explosives. Gadok Teague, a bit of a Tron hate, a bit of Leyline hate. Mostly I'm going to play against Tron though. Alright, that's the deck guys, let's get into this one. Okay, so here we are for match number 1. We lost the die roll, the hand's looking pretty strong. Go ahead and keep this one. Alright, possibly Murtide, Spy Bluff into Darcy, Bobble. Blood Moon to Grave. Yikes, I'm terrified. I've got no way to play around Blood Moon currently in hand. They did look at the top of our library with the Misha's Bobble. Any way for us to get any sort of basic. Natural basic, you bloody beauty. Alright. Glade Cover Scout. And pass it. Thankfully, no turn 1 Ragavan, so no turn 2 Blood Moon. Preordained, yeah, this is definitely our opponent on Murtide at this point. Counterspell to the bin, beautiful. This fella's got flying now. I assume they just attack and play up tempo. If they leave back blockers, that's pretty bad for us because we don't have first strike outside of Daybreak. Is this Spell Pierce? We're representing Spell Pierce. Opponent is attacking, making our life easier. Oh, hello. Yeah, I don't mind that at all. Let's fetch our other basic planes for Thread of Blood Moon. So now we can cast Daybreak no matter what, as long as one of these 2 auras resolves. We'll start on Audacity. It looks like our opponent's just hard yielded to us. So no Spell Pierce to be worried about apparently. And that's in for 4 points of damage. Okay, Darcy attacking in. No blocks from us. We'll go to 13, playing our opponent's 14 life. And now they're holding up Counterspell. It's pretty frustrating. See what they do about a Hyena Umbra. Oh, opponent. Oh god, this is Friendly League, and it's showing because there's no need for them to really counter this. Maybe they're holding up Dress Down plus Unholy Heat, and we'll get blown out. But yeah, Daybreak Coroner is just the all-star that they really want to counter, not Hyena Umbra. Alright, we're looking pretty good. And if they were paying attention, they did know about that planes off the initial Misha's Bobble too. Opponent Surveils Iteration to the Grave? Really? Surely Iteration's what you want. Are they gearing up for a giant Murtide? Is that what this is? I guess that puts fifth instant or sorcery in the graveyard for Murtide. Yep. So massive Murtide, where we need 1 more point of damage to be able to attack into it. Yep, that's 1 more point of damage. Force a negation. Opponent concedes. Well, we still gain 1. Alright, so this is a look at our opponent's deck and what they're about. Obviously we saw things like the Darcy, the counterspells, the iterations in the main deck. In the sideboard, cards to be concerned about. Obviously they've got more counter magic, which is good against us. So Force Negation, Spell Snare, and Null is going to be pretty bad. Stern Scolding can get us when they're on the play. Subtlety can also be a little bit irritating and slow down the tempo. Blood Moon, Magus of the Moon, all that fun hate. Alright, until we see something like Engineered Explosives from our opponent, we're going to be leaving Stony Silence in the sideboard. I think Relic of Progenitus is pretty good here. Keep that Murktide region in check. Gives us a cantrip to draw from. Canopy cover is not really what we want. In this matchup, I don't believe. I think the Flying's reach, I think, is weak, pardon me. I think the likelihood of Light Paws living through a Dress Down as well is quite low. Dress Down, obviously, a card to be concerned about as well. Not in the list that I showed you guys. I think it's this out. Reminder as well, guys, if you do enjoy the video, please consider subscribing for more content like this. Starting 7 is good. We're a little flooded. We can cycle 1. Good protection against Blood Moon, though. This is definitely a keep. Hopefully we don't continue to flood out with our draws, though. Turn 1 Preordain. So that can inform us on what lands we're playing. If there was turn 1 Ragavan, we're definitely searching a basic forest to play around Blood Moon. I think we just Temple Garden at this point. Wow, we got our basic forest. Wild, absolutely wild. What'd they do with their scries? 1 top, 1 bottom. And no subtlety, alright. Good times. Another Preordain from our opponent. Prefetch. That's interesting. So now our opponent can't crack this without shuffling away. Maybe they're doing yeah, I guess they just want the cards that they've got there. Very interesting. Alright, let's play around Blood Moon. Don't even need any sort of hate for it at all. We just naturally assemble our basics. And do we just get to resolve all our stuff, opponent? Doesn't look like they've got Force of Negation, or Ethereal Armor would have been a pretty prime target for that. We do find the Hyena Umbra as well. So any aura is a great top decks here. I did actually like drawing that basic land. It just assures against Blood Moon blowouts. Yeah. We'll see. Our opponent's pretty slow. They didn't have any turn 1 creature, and I think their inexperience with the deck is sort of showing a little bit. Because I think they want to keep something more proactive than what they have so far on the play. Oh, spicy. We've got Breeding Pool. Is that for Pick Your Poison? Petty Theft, sure. And then Pick Your Poison, I have to sacrifice the Ethereal Armor. Yep, that's what it is. So maybe a missequence running out the Ethereal Armor instead of the Hyena Umbra. Hyena Umbra is good into Dress Down though, because the Totem Armor has very relevant text on it. Alright, so we just spew out a hand again. Our opponent's not single yielding for Force of Negation to be shown, so we're pretty confident that the sequencing doesn't matter there. We do get in, hit our opponent down to 7. They're going to need to assemble something more real here than just bouncing an enchantment and playing out another one. Now, casting Brazen Borrower, it can only block creatures with flying, so it cannot block our creature. Another Pick Your Poison. I'll sack the Rancor, thank you. Surgical Extraction could get us here. I don't think we're playing around that. Opponent plays a Darcy. That feels like a pretty significant missequence as well. Maybe they drew it off the Consider, but they definitely could have had 1 Surveil. And Steam Vent's in tapped. No activation on the bauble yet? Interesting. You'd think if they had blue card in hand, they'd want to draw to force a negation or something of that nature. Let's Canopy. Let's crack Canopy. Alright, we do find Spirit Mantle. I think I'm happy just pushing as much damage as possible here. This Rancor is free if our board somehow gets swept as well, where the Spirit Mantle will not come back. So I'm pretty happy with this. Opponent now mishes Bogles, targeting us. So this enables the Dragon's Rage Channeler. It looks like our opponent's super noob and not realizing how First Strike works, potentially. Alright, this is a bit of a free one. Alright, well, we just trigger our Totem Armor. I think Spider Umbra is less valuable, despite the fact that it can let us block Murktides and such. That's a very expensive card to be playing, Wrath-wise. There's a lot of... I guess it makes sense, playing a Wrath that, like, deals with Scion of Dracos. So I guess that makes sense. Alright, GG's, on to the next one. Alright, match 2 versus Artig here. Lost the die roll again. This is not a keepable hand. There's just not enough action going on. It's really slow to get a 1-1 with double hexproof. This is marginally better, but albeit not that exciting. I think maybe if this was a Rancor or an Ethereal Armor, Daybreak Coronet would be more incentivized to keep a double Canopy hand, but I think it's just a 5. Alright. We'll keep that. Bottom. Probably bottom Daybreak Coronet. If Light Pause works, the 1 mana auras should be enough to create a really significant threat. As a Saga. Please don't tell me we're on the draw versus Amulet Titan. This seems horrible. Alright, so what we want to avoid is double Amulet from the opponent so that they have a slower start. I mean, obviously on turn 3 they're getting the double Amulet off the Saga anyway, so I think in most universes we're losing this match. Castle Garenbrig. So now Titans only cost 5 mana to cast. Explore. Forest. 4 in hand. Another Amulet. Triple Amulet turn 3. God, we have to hope they just don't have a creature in hand. This is really terrifying. Spirit Mantle, not a terrible draw. It does give us a way to get to Daybreak Coronet, which could be nice. We'll Light Pause. We'll see if we die. Opponent floating mana off the Saga. It seems reasonable. Triple Amulet. Seems terrifying. 4 in hand. Map. Map can get Kuri lands. Sacks. Kuri land gives them 6 mana. And a bounce so they can Titan. Simic Growth Chamber. Yep. Alright, do we see Titan? They bounce the Growth Chamber to hand. Dried of Elysian Grove. We're alive. Cool. Alright, this goes to 9 mana. Titan means we're just dead. If we see, like, the haste land, then we concede, and there's no reason for them to not get it. I mean, they can even just chain Titans at the moment, getting another Simic Growth Chamber, Talaria West, chain, like, up to... 4 Titans. Usually they do 3 and then they go into, is it like Elder Gargaroth or something really, really massive. Alright, so Writing's on the Wall. We concede that one. And we wouldn't have had a turn 3 kill. If we drew any 1 mana aura, we could have had a turn 3 kill, presuming we survive. And our opponent doesn't block, but, forcing blocks is also good. Alright, our opponents will be running Force of Vigors of their own and also Engineered Explosives. I don't really think the Stony Silencers are worth it in any real universe. Easy card to sideboard out is the Relic of Progenitus initially. The Spirit Mantles are probably just a close second after that as well. I think that's pretty reasonable. Let's go into it. We are vulnerable to Engineered Explosives, but really our opponents don't care about interacting with us and they more care about just killing us quickly, efficiently. This seems like a keep. It's a bit of a weak one. We'll keep it anyway. Throw Forest. Immediately fetch Temple Garden. So this hand, if we do draw a Force of Vigor, we'll have like an extra green card for interaction. We can still Hyena Audacity attack and then just like hope after that. It's a little bit soft to Force of Vigor. Like if this was Rancor, it would be less soft to Force of Vigor from our opponent. Light Paws off the top, yes. I think we're a couple of damage short of a turn 3 kill if we hit land next turn. But definitely worth going for. Alright, opponent plays out Forest. Boreal Grazer, sure thing. We see Growth Chamber. And they do bounce the Forest off the Growth Chamber. This could be Dryad of Elysian Grove, although I guess not. Okay, land. Can we do it? Land. You are not land. It's very frustrating. So Hyena Umbra, get Ethereal Armor, Audacity, get Rancor, attack for a lot. Unfortunately, not lethal. Alright, so we do get to represent 12 damage. They'll probably bounce the Scout's damage. Force of Vigor here isn't a crazy blowout or anything. It definitely slows us down, but it's not the end of the world given the fact that they don't have any power to block with. They just take all the damage. Let's see. Opponent gets to double Amulet of Vigor, and we get to see if we're dead here. Makes a Construct token. That was a free Glade Cover Scout our opponent had. Our opponent failed to float mana from the Urza's Saga, but did get a second Amulet. Grumbling Vestige, so they didn't have a second Karoo land. Interesting. This had 3 mana that takes them to 5. They're still 1 mana short of Titan. I think if that was the hand, I think Simic Growth Chamber turn 2 bouncing itself was more correct than bouncing the Forest. Alright, and our opponent concedes after not floating the mana, so we take it to a game 3. Going into game 3, let's just keep the deck as it is. Low to the ground, lots of green for Force of Vigor. 1 aura, 1 mana, Force of Vigor though. I'm kind of keen for this on the draw. A little bit aura light. As discussed, if we hit our land drop on turn 2, we can like 1 scout, 2 light paws, 3 start enchanting, make a big creature real quick, have interaction as well. No turn 1 amulet for our opponent. You beauty. Slower hand. That was a 7 they chose to keep. We hit our second land drop. Opponent plays Microsynth Gardens, so this can copy an amulet in the future. A Boreal Grazer, that's fine. Sanctuary, probably bouncing the gardens, yep. Alright, nice and slow from our opponent so far. We hit a Windswept Teeth. We could thin 1 land out of our deck. It doesn't seem crazy relevant. I guess we go ahead and do it. Let's see if our opponent misplays blocking as well. Maybe they think we're representing a Flash Aura or something funny. This is never a misplay because they just like preventing damage regardless. Like normally, once the Arboreal Grazer's throwing the land on the battlefield, that's its job done. So bouncing the Microsynth Gardens, I guess is okay for our opponent. This time floating the mana from the Saga. Getting the Amulet. Casting Dryad of Elysian Grove. Sure. So they'll probably Microsynth Gardens. And does that require an extra land to target? It does not. Sure. So now when they go to copy, we can blow up, and this ability should fizzle, and we should leave our opponent decimated, hopefully. Boreal Grazer, that's fine. We see Growth Chamber. That floats more mana. So if our opponent's smart, they do this activation on my turn. If they're silly, they'll go for it on their own. Oh, well, we'll definitely take that one. Blow up this. Target this. Opponent does have 5 mana on the battlefield. We take out 2 of their pretty key cards though. So does this go to the graveyard? It stays on the battlefield. That's a bit annoying. I would have liked if that went to the graveyard. Dismember on our guy. Okay, gotcha. Alright, any aura, any light pause would be really nice here. We're looking a bit slow currently. Light pause, let's bloody go. Never didn't have it. Our opponent's at, you know, 1 land in hand. It's that Microsynth Gardens. I think it's just correct to start going in on the light pause here. Making it as big as possible. Hope we hit, like, any other aura off the top so we can get really aggressive next turn. Opponent plays out Valakut instead of Gardens. We hit light pause. I guess if they have any more dismembers, that could be decent. Let's leave Scout in hand in case we draw another Force of Vigor as well. Alright, opponent blocks like this. Opponent flooding out. Yeah, another Growth Chamber. Love to see it. Bouncing Valakut. What do we see? Canopy. Canopy's a redraw. Let's do that. Force of Vigor. You beauty. Let's go. Let's attack as is. We're not like that scared of Primeval Titan without Amulet backup for haste. So we can also get creative and legend rule our own light pause to get an extra card draw. Currently we only have 1 recast. If we had a second Rancor or a Sentinel's Eyes, it might be worth doing. At the moment, not worth forcing that. Alright, opponent, I think this is their 3rd draw step since we blew them out with Force of Vigor. Do they have any relevant action here? Plenty of mana, 7 mana currently. Summoner's Pact. Alright, here comes the Hail Mary. So they finally hit a relevant spell, which is Summoner's Pact. I think we beat this prime time. I think they've got 2 lands in hand and we're pretty safe. Interesting. Opponent was like close to being able to transmute a Talaria West 1 mana off, but they did like pitch their double blue to do what they did. They also, if they have Beseiju, they could have left up 1 green mana for Beseiju. I think we're versing another inexperienced player with the deck. They're mostly doing okay, but there's just a few small things I think are lacking. Alright, so we see Otawara and we see Urza's Saga. No way to bounce either of these things. Sentinel's Eyes, let's go, baby. Let's go. So with this, just search up Audacity for extra damage. Our opponent is now forced to block with the Primeval Titan, and that should be the writing on the wall there. Trample 5, so opponent not quite dead. They do have to pay for Summoner's Pact upkeep. They can potentially bounce our creature with Otawara, and then we can get a whole bunch of redraws on our turn. And just equip the Glade Cover Scout and start attacking. Opponent plays the 1 ring. Alright, they're going to get an extra turn here. And get some card draw as well. This is indestructible, so we can't really interact with it overly well. 0 cards in hand for our opponent. Can't currently Urza's Saga token either. Find Ethereal Armor off the top. Enchant the Scout. Plays it around Otawara in the future. I think it's just our Umbras that are left in the deck as unique auras at this point. Alright, I guess we get one of them. Technically it is thinning our deck though. End step. Opponent draws a card with 1 ring. Upkeep. They take 1 damage. They're down to 1 life. They need a fresh 1 ring or a way to kill us this turn. Urza Saga will give them the Amulet. Alright, One Ring activation. Beautiful. We'll go ahead and destroy this. Let's destroy our own Rancor, so... actually, let's not destroy our own Rancor. There's no auras we really want or need to get. So do this in response to the Amulet, so they don't get like lands in play untapped for free. Opponent copies. Okay, no, that was a misplay. I forgot about Microsynth Gardens. Okay, my mistake. Alright, I may have just given our opponent a good window to get into this. Currently 9 mana, 4 in hand. They did take the extra draw off One Ring, you know, getting another 2 cards in hand. Sanctuary, okay, lands are good. We'd like to see that. This can bounce Otawara. Otawara can bounce Light Paws. We can Legend rule our own Light Paws. Trample on the Scout. Attack for lethal next turn. They are dead to One Ring upkeep as well. Alright, so Otawara in hand. Elesh Norn. Sure. I think they missed out 2 mana by not Elesh Norning before playing Karuland. Ah, Otawara bouncing their own One Ring. Okay. Alright, how do we deal with Light Paws now? Alright, so I got a message from my opponent saying, haha, I missed the land, my bad. I'm assuming that was referring to Selesnya Sanctuary pre-playing Elesh Norn and not getting that extra 2 mana. So it looks like we steal this game by the finest of margins. Still, I'm not sure how they deal with Light Paws. But, you know, good to get a second win. Daybreak Coroner off top as well, so we could... If they bounce Light Paws, we can... Or somehow remove it, we can... Rancor, Daybreak Coroner, attack. We're bigger than Elesh Norn. Happy days. Alright, match 3. Won the die roll versus Denizen. No lander, have to mulligan. No creature, we'll mulligan again. Opponent keeping their 7, unfortunate. Alright, we'll keep this. Ditch Relic, ditch Light Paws. Yeah, not like super in love with the aura quality, but we can't really go down to 4. We also deal a lot of damage to ourselves with this Horizon Canopy as well. Triome. Okay. Hey, look. A slightly less painful land. Let's go. Alright, opponent's hard yielded. We'll wait on the Sentinel's Eyes until a future turn. This is strictly worse against Ragavan, so maybe we don't Spider Umbra. We do get the information about them just auto-yielding though, so no force negation to worry about. Alright, so our opponent conceded pretty rapidly there. Looks like we could be versing Omnath, Footfall, Zoo. So probably a Leyline Binding matchup here. Then given now we're sideboarding for Leyline Binding and Leyline Guildpact, also Sign of Draco, Force of Vigor stocks go up a lot in this matchup. Weak cards, probably Audacity, just because it's extra copies of Rancor. Spider Umbra is fine because it helps us to block flying. Spirit Mantle a little bit slow possibly, and I guess Canopy Cover can give us protection from Tribal Flames. It's probably just that stuff out though. Maybe one Canopy Cover can stay in, and we can remove one Light Paws. Alright, so on the draw, a double Light Paws hand, 1 mana. I think I'm in for keeping this. We've got potentially a good interaction against our opponent. We get to see extra cards. If they answer 1 Light Paws, the second one could be good. Kalani Gardens. This seems like a that deck with the red suspend card where they cycle like permanents based off of the permanents on the battlefield. It's not brought back. That's a white card. You'll know when it comes up because I'm sure it will this match. Opponent, Surveil Land. What do we see? Keeps it on top. Plant token, attacking with some swagger. Let's go. Mana, come on, come on, let's go. That'll do. Alright, wave shifter, investigate twice, sure thing. Yeah, these force of vigors don't seem very good here. We can answer clue tokens though. Sack these so our opponent has less permanents to cantrip into. That could be spicy. Alright, not the best card draw off the top. A land would have been most ideal. I think we load up on... Let's probably get like an extra copy of Rancor here. In case we need to go in on the second light pause. We did remove our audacities anyway. So this seems, for the most part, reasonable. Alright, let's attack for a lot. Our opponent probably won't block with the plant token because that represents a cantrip. So they're on 9. So this is probably a cascade effect. At 4 mana, I'm not sure what it is, Shardless Agent. So in response to... I guess we let this happen, and in response to the spell we can do stuff. So Glimpse of Tomorrow, there it is. They shuffle permanents from the battlefield into their library and then place permanents from the battlefield out equal to that. So let's get rid of both of these. Exile Bogle from hand. Alright, so that's 2 less hits for them. Land Subtlety, cool. Awesome, they break. No extra cascade effects either, which is nice. I guess they could Subtlety that Shardless Agent to the top of their own library. That's not particularly helpful though. And they're cracking quite a bit. I guess they got a second Shardless Agent here. That next crack was unnecessary because they've got 1 white floating. Are they keeping the white floating for some reason? Ardent Plea, sure. Ah, so we see they have got Scion Package as well. Leyline Binding, I think I saw that somewhere. Leyline Guildpact, sorry. Leyline Guildpact. Leyline Binding. Alright, so looks like they brick a second time and we just get to attack for the win. Alright. Seems good. When it concedes the match, so possibly the Force of Vigor on the 2 treasure tokens was quite important. GG's, on to the next one. Alright, welcome back to match number 4 here. We lost the die roll versus Gory. On the draw, hand looks good, we'll keep it. Okay. We see our opponent surveils a land into the graveyard. Just has to be Temple Garden right off the bat here. And into Bogle, passing the turn. Opponent shocks in Overgrown Tomb. Delighted Halfling. We are versing Yawgmoth here. I think this matchup is reasonable. It's not terrible. Second Ethereal Armor is good. I think just a Plains is fine. Conserve life total a little bit. Because we have that second Ethereal Armor. We'll have something to do with this white mana next turn no matter what. Or in, you know, the next 2 turns. So not going to be clogged up with green undercastable cards after if we have like double green or something. So naturally we're in a pretty good spot here against Grist. They jam Yawgmoth and we have to like try and force the win on this next turn. That's fine. Land would be really good to go like land, Ethereal Armor, Daybreak. Not the land we're looking for. Still, we play it out. Spider Umbra. Daybreak adds 4 power. Ethereal Armor adds 5. Neither are lethal. Let's go for the life gain line. Alright, attack for 11. Seems pretty good. I don't think our opponent's ever going to throw away their Yawgmoth here. So now they need like a payoff creature almost immediately, or else they'll start paying life to put minus counters on creatures. Yeah, cool. They concede. We take game 1 against Yawgmoth. Alright, here's Yawgmoth. It's pretty much the tier 0 deck of the format at the moment. You can see in their sideboard they are packing Pick Your Poisons. They're also packing Force of Vigors and Tear Asunder. All these are pretty good against us. Reclamation Sage too. Reclamation Sage can be like Court of Calling in. Importantly, Haywire Might, which can copy off the Soul Cauldron. They got a lot of good stuff going on here. They also have their combo kill, Shoulder for life gain. The combo kill is usually like any 2 undying creatures, and then they'll have a creature that gains some life on the battlefield. This particular list is running Hepatra. It's also running Blood Artist, which does life gain, and Hepatra generates tokens, so you only need 1 undying creature, I believe. Alright, so things that are good are against our opponent. Stony Silence, because it shuts off the Agus' Soul Cauldron, and Relic of Progenitus, because it will shut off undying effects outside of the Soul Cauldron. So if they combo without Cauldron, it's going to be good. I think Force of Vigor for Cauldron is probably overboarding, and Stony Silence just does a better job of answering it. As far as everything is concerned, flying is good against our opponent, protection is good here. We probably don't need the totem armor that Spider Umbra represents. I'm not hugely expecting to have a win with Light Paws, but it's possible to like reload on it after, or use it as a card draw engine as well, so we probably don't want to take all copies of it out. Maybe just an Audacity as well. Alright, we see a good Bogle hand here, we'll keep it. Light on interaction. We don't necessarily want a hand which is heavy on interaction anyway. Thoughtseize! Ah, yeah, son of a gun. You got me now. Alright, I thought these decks like stop playing Thoughtseize. I can see like 2 in the sideboard of my opponent's list, or like the example sideboard list, but I swear they like stopped playing those effects for Bowmasters, but it looks like they're creeping back into the sideboard. We do see a 3rd land drop, which could be good for Light Paws. So now we have an awkward decision. If we fetch Light Paws, I think... yeah, this is an awkward spot we've put ourselves in. It's possible we wait until turn 3 to Light Paws to play around Grist. We've already dodged one, like a second Thoughtseize effect, so I think this is reasonable. Otherwise, if we play Light Paws out, it can just die to Grist without any totem armor protection. Seems kind of weak. This is also like doesn't put us in the awkward spot of fetching Dried Arbor, having it like get Bowmastered or Fatal Pushed, and then being like tempoed into the bin. Yeah, so we see a Grist, so I think our decision was correct. Otherwise they just sack Halfling, kill Light Paws. Sad days. I think at this point we Dried Arbor here. We untap. Find Stony Silence. Alright, that's not amazing yet, but it could be useful in the future. We'll Light Paws here. It has to be Rancor now because of the way our mana's worked out. I think we Rancor the Dried Arbor, putting Totem Armor on the Light Paws. If they want to remove Dried Arbor in response, Rancor will fizzle, but that will be a Fatal Push eaten up. Alright, cool. We get Hyena Umbra down on the Light Paws. Happy days. So we can also see opponent milled Tear Asunder with the Grist as well. So we're pretty happy that got milled, as opposed to a creature destruction effect such as Reclamation Sage. I guess that's not an activated ability. That's an ETB, such as Haywire Might. There we go. All right, opponent activates Grist. Another token. We see Yawgmoth put into the graveyard off the ability. Sentinel's Eyes off the top. I think I'm down for double protection on Light Paws. This green mana is really awkward this game. Have you got Court of Calling? I think this is Court of Calling. Court of Calling for Reclamation Sage. Doesn't seem amazing. Court of Calling for 2. Weird. Bowmasters, yeah. Hey, thank you, opponent. You've sorted out... I should have floated the mana off of Dried Arbor there. That's a mistake. It doesn't really interfere with our hand resolving the Rancor at all. This is great. Thank you, opponent. Very helpful of you. Endurance, yeah, that's fine. So this doesn't count as card draw, so the Bowmaster sequencing is a bit weird. The, like, endurance removing the Rancor pre-combat seems fine, though. At this point, we're probably looking for a Rancor so we can attack and put pressure on this turn. I don't see any reason to jam the Ethereal Armor just yet, so let's do it this way. No vigilance, but our life total is very healthy, and we just pressure our opponents. We can ignore this Grist, I believe. We've got double totem armor protection, so I think it's pretty safe. One card left in hand for our opponent as well, so they're almost out of resources. Let's see if we get to our next turn. If we get to our next turn and they don't interact with us well, Sentinel's Eyes, Tutor Ethereal Armor, attack for the win. If they somehow manage to remove our Light Paws through double totem armor, they've already played a land, so I don't think that can happen. But if they had like Fatal Push, Grist, that would specific line of cards would answer. Or Enchantment Removal, Grist. We just find the Ethereal Armor naturally. We'll leave that one in hand. It's most valuable aura, more valuable than Sentinel's Eyes, which we can get back later. Looks like our opponent has another Court of Calling. For 4. Gets Yawgmoth. This seems fine. Pays life with Yawgmoth, drawing a card. Alright. Our opponent's putting -1 counters on our Light Paws, but allows the Sentinel's Eyes to resolve. Let's get Ethereal Armor before we're too small. Cool. Attack. I guess our opponent didn't consider Ethereal Armors. Bogles is a bit of a niche deck these days. Attack for lethal. Yeah, they had a chance just to sack another insect token and put a 1/1 counter here and kill Light Paws before Sentinel's Eyes Ethereal Armor resolved. So we actually get to steal that one and move to 4-0. Realistically, our opponent should have won this game and it should have gone to match number 3. Match number 5, won the die roll, playing for that friendly trophy. Yeah, let's keep this. Let's go. It's probably Windswept Teeth lead, Dried Arbor, End Step. Versiga Thoughtseize deck, screw you, opponent. Alright, definitely Dried Arbor now. We can Totem Armor the Dried Arbor. Have a Will and Away. Opponent takes Light Paws, Arrest or Revealed. Fetch, Arbor, Temple Garden, Hyena Umbra. If we had Spider Umbra in hand, we could Vigilance attack and then Spider Umbra post-combat. That's not what we've got though. Opponent plays out Cabal Coffers. I swear to God, if our opponent's packing Sheoldred's Edict, I'm going to lose my bloody mind. Alright. Let's lead on Audacity. That way, if they have it, we get a card draw. If not, we don't waste graveyard resources or something. Let's go like this. Cool. Attack for 5. See if we dodge the Edict. Fatal Push. Alright. Totem Armor. Got a second Fatal Push. And we're through for now. Daybreak off the top. Let's Spirit Mantle. Gives protection from Bowmasters. Attack. End of our opponent's turn, we can cycle Horizon Canopy as well. Opponent is at Damnation mana, which would be devastating. No, god damn it, Damnation. Oh man, that's frustrating. Back to square one now. Ethereal Armor off top. Alright, any hexproof guy off top would be nice. Card draw from Audacity is also nice. Douthie Voidwalker is played. Spirit Mantle off top. Alright, not in a good spot now. Khan the Great Creator. Oh god, this is terrifying. What are they searching up now? One Ring? We don't care about One Ring. Seems like an odd time to force it. When, like, the Indestructible on a future turn. Unless they have a second One Ring in deck, but... Wouldn't they go for, like, Mana Disruption lock here? Really close us out of the game? If they have a second One Ring, they can tutor for that. They can give protection, stop a lethal attack. They can all be, like, also be Shouldered soon, but they've drawn with One Ring before playing a Shouldered. Minus some Khan. Phyrexian Metamorph, that's fine. Temple Garden. Not having much luck off the top of our library. Opponent plays second One Ring after making this one into a creature. Starts drawing again. Plenty of cards in hand. And they made it into a creature with the Khan the Great Creator active. We draw into nothing, so have to concede that one there. Alright, so here's the general gist of what our opponent's up to. We can see they're packing 4 copies of Sheoldred's Edict, and that is absolutely terrifying. They've also got March of Sorrow, but we're less concerned about that. Sideboard, they can search up Engineered Explosives. We saw the One Ring just before. Chalice of the Void could also be quite good against us on one. In addition to that, they do have Sunken Citadel, Field of Ruin, Demolition Field, Land Destruction as well. I'm not going to lie, this is probably a rough matchup for us. Alright, so it doesn't look like our opponents are on... it looks like they do have 1 copy of Ensnaring Bridge in the sideboard. That's frustrating. That probably means we need to sideboard in 2 to 3 Force of Vigor. Now on the play, we might want to ignore their Thoughtseize effects because it looks like they only run 3 copies in the main deck. Stony Silence can be brought in to preemptively answer Engineered Explosives. I think given how much else we want and the fact we've got 7 Totem Armors in the main deck, it's not really needed. Relic of Progenitus is an easy cut. But currently we're looking at 6 cuts we need to make for all of this. Canopy Cover has real text on Light Pause, but not really on anything else. I think Spirit Mantle is the worst of our evasion. Canopy Cover is probably average as well. -1, -1, submit. I'm not sure about this. We might have overboarded with these Force of, with both Ley Lines and Force of Vigor. Neutral Hand is a good keep. We can play around Sheoldred's Edict with our Windswept Heath. And our opponent can't interact with our hand, which is nice. Fine Daybreak Coronet. Alright, so given just how good Sheoldred's Edict is and the fact our opponents will likely be playing 4 of that card, I am not playing a second aura here. I'm holding up the Windswept Heath for Sheoldred's Edict. End of turn. Opponent Swamp Cycles. 2 mana. Is this Douthie or Edict? That's Douthie. That's fine. Fine Spider Umbra off the top. They can Explosives 1 and active Explosives, so it has to be correct to play the Spider Umbra out here. Of course, now we enter the realm of Sheoldred's Edict plus Fatal Push. Douthie attacking in, we are fine with that. Temple Garden off top. Temple Garden is good. Opponent on 12. If we play out Umbra, Sentinel's Eyes, it adds 4 power. 9 hits them to 3. Same with Daybreak. I think we Daybreak. Keep the extra auras in hand for a rainy day. Alright, so at this point we put our opponent down to Alright, they've got interaction. Orcish Bowmasters, that's fine. They have to target their own creature or their own face here. So probably target Douthie Voidwalker, targeting own face. Enters the battlefield. 1 damage to any target. Oh no, they did target the Douthie. Bizarre. Okay. Alright, they go to... oh, we don't have Trample. Okay, that was pretty good. I thought we had Trample, my mistake. Opponent buys a lot of time with that play. We see the One Ring. Alright. Yeah, we don't really want to be in turn 5 against our opponent with them just resolving a One Ring. I can't block that. It has Shadow, right? Yeah. I see no reason to play any of the auras in our hand. Especially at the moment. Alright, opponent, end of turn, activates One Ring. Beginning upkeep, takes the damage. Activates One Ring. Douthie gets in there. 4 mana, another copy of One Ring. More protection for our opponent. More whiffs for us. Man, minusing out that 1 extra Audacity. Whoa. I guess the Spirit Mantles as well. 1 ring of protection, so the attack doesn't matter here. Alright, activations, up to 2, 10 cards in hand. Surely they've got double Shouldered's Edict. Maybe they don't know the interaction with Leyline where they just ignore us. Attacks with Douthie, we'll take. Damnation, Totem Armor trigger. Alright, I think we're okay. Opponent plays a Swamp, 2 mana up. We have potential to attack for lethal here. Spider Umbra. Let's Sentinel's Eyes because it's... I guess it's lethal either way, but they could have Bowmaster blocks. I think, like, we're going to be gaining 11 anyway. That's going to drag the game on for a long time. We'll keep Ethereal Armor in hand. Opponent concedes. Beautiful. Beautiful, we get that. I don't really think we want Gadok Teague. It's potential we bring it in as a way to stop our opponents casting One Ring and Khan. It's just really weak to their huge removal suite. I guess it's okay against Bowmasters, but they've got Fatal Pushes. They've got Damnations, which would be shut off. Maybe. It also shuts off cards like Chalice of the Void and Engineered Explosives. Maybe we take out 2 Force of Vigors, bring in Gadok Teagues. Gadok Teague plus Force of Vigor is a Nombo. We have a slightly higher creature count now. Alright, let's submit that and see where we go. I'm not actually sure what the optimal sideboard strategy is here. Opponent, Snap keeps a 7. We see this 7. Mana's a bit weak. We have a good amount of creatures. We don't have Leyline, but we have sort of pseudo protection against what they're doing. I think there's a case to both keep and mulligan this hand. I think we're going to keep and hope we top deck a good number of auras. We do have natural Hate for Ensnaring Bridge in hand, which our opponent can't interact with. Our opponent doesn't have the Thoughtseize. We hit another creature. Alright, Glade Cover Scout, go. Double Swamp for our opponent. Start by attacking. I think we just attack for 1. Interesting. This is actually attacking into Bowmasters. This is quite loose. I have a read on Shouldered's Edict. Especially after not getting blown out by Bowmasters there. Let's Glade Cover Scout here. Alright, there's the Shouldered's Edict. That's fine. So we get 1 point of damage in. Resolve the second Scout. I don't really see a point in cracking this Windswept Teeth just yet. I think we want to draw land next turn. Opponent plays Douthie Voidwalker. Okay, we're happy to see that. Demolition Field. Daybreak off top. What do we do now? We can fetch planes, play Boseiju, light pause, Rancor here, attack. It's not amazing. We can Rancor, Ethereal Armor, attack, also not amazing. I think we don't care about Sheoldred's Edict at this point. I think if our opponent had that, they would have used it that turn. I think given that, I think we still want Boseiju in hand. I think it's Ethereal Rancor. If they sweep the board, we can reset with Rancor and Light Pause. Maybe it's just play Gadok Tig, no attack for 1. This has got Shadow, it can't block. Maybe it's attack for 1. Alright, we see Leyline of Sanctity. We'll kick things off by attacking. Alright, post-combat. Gadok Tig, what do you got, opponent? Can be removed by double Bowmasters. Again, not really concerned about that line. Fatal Push on this is fine as well. It's paving the way for Light Pause realistically. Opponent marches their own Douthie in response. Gaining some life. Interesting. 2 cards in hand for our opponent. Potential to attack for 7. This just seems reasonable to Rancor here. Let's attack for 10 instead. Can still hold Boseiju in hand for the worst case scenario of Khan Bridge. Alright, I think we're going to get there this game. Alright, opponent concedes the match and we take the 5-0. Did not expect to beat Black Coffers, but definitely happy with that one. I guess Gadok Tig was secretly really good tech in that spot. Weak to Fatal Push, but good against the rest of their removal realistically, and interacts with a lot of their relevant cards being Khan, One Ring, Damnation, March. Yeah, that's pretty spicy. Alright, at this point I'm pretty keen to see how this deck performs in a non-friendly league. Obviously, did quite well here. Potentially, for you guys watching at home, it gives you the confidence to play it in FNM. Sideboard seems reasonably well constructed. I think sneaking the extra relic into the main deck is worthwhile rather than just going for 3 Force of Vigors. And like, yeah. I think because of Amulet Titan, we want 4 of these, because without seeing 1 Force of Vigor every game, we have a really hard time in that matchup. Main deck configuration seems pretty good. I think we potentially dodged a bullet removing Griffspoon and playing around Pick Your Poison that way. And yeah, cool. It's good to see that this deck still performs in Modern at the moment. I'll do some more leagues with this. I'll do some more leagues with Bogles of the Guildpact as well. I've got 2 thoughts on Bogles of the Guildpact. Alright, so School of Thought 1 is doing like Bogle Hybrid, where it doesn't matter if we don't have Scion in hand, because most of our other auras are good with Guildpact. Blessing gives at least 1/1 to our hexproof creatures. We replace Light Pause with Scion of Draco. And we just go for a bit more interaction with the Leyline Bindings. We have Stubborn Denial slip out the back and the sideboard to aid in protecting our stuff as well as like just the normal hate here, but not so much for the graveyard. So School of Thought number 2 is we potentially like just play a different deck to traditional Bogles. We can look at playing things like Grief in our Leyline deck, because like spare copies of Leyline can pitch to Grief. We can look at not Undying Evil, but the other one that gives the ward effect on it. That card's not dead after all. I don't know why I can't search it up. Like last time when I was theory crafting this deck, I couldn't search it up either, but it gives the Undying effect. It also gives a Wicked Roll token attached to the creature. Enchanted creature gets +1/+1 when this aura is put into the graveyard from each opponent loses 1 life. So like it's better than Undying Evil. Again, I don't know why I cannot search that card up on Magic Online. I'm entering the name correctly. I've filtered key value of like 1 mana value, black color, and it's just not there. I found it through like just searching the set, strangely enough. So I don't know if because it's got like the wording of dead in its name that it does something funny with the search features. So obviously this deck is still like theory crafting at the moment. I don't think that the deck would want Geist. I sort of thought about including it to like include more hexproof in the deck. The idea as well of like Geist attacking with Scion Leyline in play and, you know, getting like an Angel with, you know, 4/4 first strike, Vigilance, Lifelink, hexproof. It seems pretty spicy. This would have like more main deck interaction than traditional lists that I would play. So you'd see the likes of Stubborn Denial, Leyline Binding, maybe even Force and Negation making its way in. I don't know if Edge of Divinity is good enough. My guess is probably no. But if we remove Edge of Divinity, our black count's like a little bit light. Yeah, so that's the thoughts at the moment on that one. Sideboard wise, it'd probably look similar to my other sideboards, but that you saw on the other one. I think there might be something here. I'm just not sure. I think I might be getting a bit greedy with the colors as well. Like Expressive Iteration takes it to straight to 5 color, but that would be great filtering in a deck like this in the mid game if they answer your threats and you're digging to another threat. Yeah, so like math-wise, if you just run Grief, Leyline, Not Dead After All, that's like 12 black cards, right? It's probably like a little bit too short to run Grief package, so we'd need something. Could even just be Thoughtseize and just be more interactive with our opponent. Like a Scam Guildpact build. Seems spicy. Alright, that's it for today's video, guys. I do hope you enjoyed the 5.0. Let me know what you think about all of the spicy Leyline of the Guildpact tech in below, which list you'd want to see me play next. And if you've got any recommendations on how to tune this Scam Leyline Guildpact package. Alright, have a wonderful day, guys. I'll catch you next time.